Hey everybody, welcome to my Survive the Nights first impression video. I'm going to be talking about my experience over the first 24 hours in the game, talking about some of the things that work. Obviously, there's a lot of things that don't work, and then I'm going to be finishing up on some hindsight 2020 discussion surrounding most survival games out there and games that have been released in the past as well. So let's dive into it. First off, let's talk about some of the things that you could do inside the game. So you start off at a random location in this world with a crank flashlight. It's got a pretty cool animation to it. You can turn it on. I don't think you can actually charge it. I don't think the battery actually runs out. It's just your flashlight that you use to pretty much see everywhere you go. Very similar to Miscreated, where you spawn with the flashlight and you always have it on you at the very beginning of the game. So obviously this is a survival MMO game, and the ultimate goal is to survive as long as you can. These zombies, which are the main PvE threat that are in the environment, are pretty much useless during the daylight as long as you're staying crouched. If you do get near the zombies, they will attack you and run at you, but not as quick or as vicious as they would at nighttime. At night, you can crouch around them, but you have to maintain some significant distance between them, or else they'll aggro onto you and chase you down. The more noise the zombie makes, the more zombies are attracted to you, and before you know it, you're standing on top of a car in the middle of the night with a horde of zombies around you. Very similar to like what you'd expect in a zombie situation. So I think honestly, these zombies are my favorite thing about Survive the Nights, believe it or not, because they're actually scary as hell. And they're scary because you really can't fight them right now, and that's not necessarily a good thing, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But the zombies are experiencing typical early access survival bullshit problems, like being able to run through walls and kind of moving in really weird pathing. But I mean, and this is saying something, day one, they are working better than DayZ standalone zombies, which is actually saying something. They're a lot more scary than standalone zombies. They do have more of a presence in the world. Right now, if you see a zombie in a game like DayZ standalone, you're not really worried. In Survive the Nights, you're worried. It's a problem. It can kill you if you don't handle the situation correctly. So all of this is actually going on in, of course, like an MMO environment with 30 other people. You can interact with other people. There is a side chat as well where you can talk to people globally in the bottom left, and you can communicate using voice over IP, but the voice over IP doesn't really work that well. Like, it's pretty much like once you're in the proximity of other players, it kind of throws you into, it seems like a Discord or a TeamSpeak. It doesn't really matter how far away you are from your other player. It's just all going to sound the same. Now for crafting, for what I could see, there's only a few crafting recipes available, and the one that is actually shown by default is creating a campfire. But funny enough, you can't actually find stones in the world right now other than looting them from inside of houses, which is kind of weird. You can collect wood from downed like dead wood that's in the forest, and if you get a hatchet, if you're lucky enough to get a hatchet, then you can actually chop down a tree. In all the hours that I've played the game, I haven't been able to find a wood axe or a hatchet. You can apparently find a hatchet head and a hatchet handle and an axe head and an axe handle, and you can craft them together. I've had a few people say they were having problems crafting them. I've heard that some people were able to make it to work. I've heard that once you find a hatchet, you can actually chop down trees. I've also heard that with the hatchet, it sometimes gives you an issue. So seems to be some problems with collecting resources and stones throughout the world. And once you do actually find the stone and the timber and the wood, you can create a campfire, and it doesn't require you to actually have a means of lighting that campfire. I had a lighter at the time, but you could build a fire in a wood stove with just timber and wood without actually having a match or any method of actual lighting a fire, and you can get it going to boil water or to cook food. But that being said, you probably won't be cooking anything for too long because, oddly enough, again, another weird oversight, if you have a log in a fire, it burns out. Like, one log only lasts like 30 seconds. So it's hard to even get enough wood in your inventory to supply a fire for long enough where you can actually cook and boil your water. So they need to balance that out. There's a lot of work to be had with this game, but we're going to continue talking about it, and then I'll get to my criticisms at the end of the video. I would love to give you guys my opinion on the gunplay and the melee action, like killing zombies or possibly killing other players, but I don't have any footage. I never actually got to experience that gameplay because loot is just not spawning correctly in the world. That's a huge problem right now, and they're currently working on a fix for that. There is a workaround that requires you to like log out in a house, log back in, and the loot will be spawning there. And if you're lucky enough to get in a house that actually has some good loot, then you'll be able to acquire something. Certain containers do currently have loot, like refrigerators, toolboxes, and some cardboard boxes and pallet boxes, but even still it's few and far between, and you really got to get lucky. The biggest item that I was actually able to find was actually a can opener. Once I found a can opener, my ability to survive increased tenfold because I could just eat uncooked cans of food, the ones that don't really make me sick, to get my hydration and my energy. So it didn't require me to boil water. If I got a can of peas, for example, the water that's inside of that cans is obviously purified and wouldn't make me sick. So that's how I was surviving for long periods of time. So I would go from one house to another house, periodically log out, log back in, loot the house, find the food. If I was lucky, have enough time to go to another house and loot it, hide in the house all night to evade the zombies, because it's really not worth looting a city or looting a small town at night because there's just way too many zombies. You're going to get swarmed and killed. And so I would just kind of hunker down, just talk to the chat, and then just once it was daytime, I would be able to evade the zombies and rinse and repeat, attempting to find some sort of weapon. The only thing I was able to find was buckshot, 15 rounds of buckshot, and I wasn't able to find any shotgun. Now, I'm not gonna lie, actually moving from house to house, evading the zombies while trying to survive, did actually give me a pretty good vibe. I do actually like the environment in this game. I do like the skyboxes, but we all know too well that a good skybox and a cool environment doesn't really make for a good game if that's all you really have. So, let's talk a little bit about the criticisms for the game. I'm going to start off by saying the devs did actually warn us multiple times that there was going to be some server instability problems and some issues with the game within the first 48 hours that they were planning on smoothing out. But does that warning really make people feel that much better? Not really, especially whenever the game is a shell of what we expected it to be. I know hindsight is 2020, but I really think that the Survive the Nights team should have done a closed beta testing period that made people sign an NDA and actually get in the game and make sure that the core basics actually function. Like, for example, finding stones, collecting wood, building a campfire, making sure you can build an axe by attaching a hatchet head to a hatchet handle, making sure that the zombies don't go through garage doors, and including more things to do at launch, because outside of just killing zombies and meeting up with your friends, there really isn't anything else you can really do right now. What I can tell you is there is currently a large variety of loot. Even if most of that loot is purposeless right now, it does give us a glimpse of what the game is going to be like in the future. The game will truly try to be like all of their concept videos that they've uploaded in the YouTube channel. It's just so far away from that right now that I think that is really what's disappointing people. I'm actually not going to be giving up on Survive the Nights though. I think most games have experienced first day problems, even AAA titles. So I'm going to give them a week or two to see what they can get out and what they can accomplish and all the bugs that they can resolve with this launch day, and see if they can get this game headed in the right direction and to the point where people can get in there, actually acquire weapons, fight the zombies, fight other players, work together, and try to survive as a team the way this game is meant to be played right now, using the mechanics that are actually in the game. And if that's actually possible, then there might actually be some potential for Survive the Nights in the future. But they have a very small development team. There's only 5 people, and it's also the holiday season. I gotta be honest, the hype can die really fast for a game like Survive the Nights in its current state. So the hustle needs to be there in order to get this game to a point where people are in large enjoying their experience. Because right now, in all honesty, they're not. So In the end of my first impressions video, I actually had moments where I really enjoyed the game, like when I was surrounded by zombies and locked in the complete darkness and I could just hear the zombies creeping around my building and getting closer to my location. There were some pretty crazy moments like that, I'm not gonna lie. But I enjoyed the game the most when I could find loot, and the only way I could find loot is if I logged out of Steam, logged back into Steam, relaunched the game, looted the house, moved to another location, and repeat the process, logging out of Steam, logging back in, loading up the game. So obviously that's not a good way of playing the game, and after a few hours that starts to get really annoying. And the fact that you're missing so much opportunity too, because it only works for a small area around your login location. So you might be missing out on guns and ammo, and there's really no weapons around, so you can't really enjoy yourself fighting the zombies. And if you do get a weapon, just know you are very lucky to get one, because most people cannot find any in the current state. I think this game does have potential. We just need to get the loot fixed and add a few more core features over the next month, and I think that's going to convince people that this game does have some longevity. But if we don't see any of those core fixes right away, people will quickly forget about this game. So can I recommend Survive the Nights to anybody in my community in its current state? No, I cannot. Wait this one out, guys. Don't waste your money. Keep an eye on it. Watch me play it on Twitch and make videos for it. And then I'll give you guys my final opinion on it in the next couple weeks. And basically, if you stop seeing videos of the game on the YouTube channel, then you can know that the community died out pretty quick. But I want this game to succeed, especially with those concepts